Instagram, man. Instagram. It'll get you in trouble, and that's exactly what happened to Pablo Sandoval this past week. He was, sitting on the toilet looking at his phone, and of course it was during an actual game, and it was against the Red Sox policy, so he ended up being benched for the following game. So we're going to talk about that and whether the whole ordeal is just ridiculous or not. Also, we're going to talk about Cam Newton's recent NFL contract, and also whether Russell Wilson should receive a similar one or even a greater one in the future. Also, Johnny Manziel is done with the money sign, and although it's probably warranted, should he have done that? We're going to talk about the NBA draft as well, which is coming up this Thursday, June 25th. We're going to look at a preview of some of the top picks as well as some possible trades that may occur. Also, the U.S. Open took place this past Sunday, and it was a wild finish to say the least. Jordan Spieth ended up with his second major and his second one in a row after Dustin Johnson missed a tiny little 3 or 4 footer to lose on the final hole. Also, Herschel Walker believes that he can still play in the NFL and help an NFL team, and he hasn't played since 1997. Yeah, right, Herschel. We got a good group here today, and we brought in our IT guy, Andy Nihis, for the first time. And while he's probably not going to give much input for sports, maybe he'll bring a little bit of comedic relief for us. So how you doing, Andy?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, Hayes. Just hanging out.
Yeah. We also
I'll
have
just
Ben.
probably be listening for several minutes.
We also have Ben Goldberg
Oh,
here
excuse me.
today.
Sorry. Huh?
Hey, what's up?
Isaac
Oh, sorry.
Weeks,
Hey.
Ross
Hey,
Cheshire,
What's up?
Nick
hey, Ross.
Olinger,
Yo, what's up?
and then yours
Forgot about Nick.
truly, Hayes Rule. So we're going to talk about the NFL contracts first here today. Cam Newton, like I said, he received a big contract recently. 5 years, roughly $104 million, which is $60 million of that is guaranteed. A lot of people were upset with the guaranteed portion of this contract. What do you guys think?
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but is he worth it?
No.
Would you?
Yeah, Cam. I don't know. He was gonna get this contract regardless, really of how he's played so far, which I've thought to be pretty average.
Mediocre.
A little higher, slightly above mediocre. He was gonna get this just because he is the guy that the Panthers see themselves as building around. So I think it was just something the Panthers had to do in the end of the day. So I guess it was warranted from a front office perspective on their part, but kind of looking from the outside in, maybe not so much.
That's a lot of guaranteed money. I don't know about. I kind of agree with that being a little surprising.
Well, the thing for most
I know.
NFL contracts, especially quarterbacks, is for the guaranteed portion, that's really the one you want to look at. And it's usually, if it's about 50% of the total money, that's probably right along the road that you want to stay at. Maybe even a little bit less than 50% of it guaranteed. In this scenario, he got about 60% of it guaranteed. So the guaranteed money was a little high for my taste, especially for someone who has really only led the Panthers, granted, to 2 playoff appearances, mainly behind their defense, though.
And in a weak conference.
And yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
the Falcons
And
have.
maybe debatably maybe the weakest conference in the NFL.
I agree.
Yep. The total money I'm fine with. 5 years, $104 million is right along the path that you want for Cam Newton. I think, like you were saying though, Carolina didn't really have an option here. They kind of had to lock him down, and if they had to give him $10 more million guaranteed, I don't see it as a big deal. I think I'm fine with the deal personally.
Well, I still think there's a lot of potential there. So I don't think this is going to be. It's not like he's going to fall off the grid and be just a horrible quarterback. I mean, just give him the weapons, and he'll be worth all the money, I think.
I kind of agree with you guys. I mean, frankly, I don't believe Cam Newton really deserved all the guaranteed money and really the size of the contract. But I mean, like Hayes and Isaac said, I mean, the front office had to do this. I mean, they had they have no one else to look to, or I mean, they have no. So I mean, I'm pretty fine with it.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it either. I don't think he's done anything really to show that he warrants a contract like this. But I also think that's because he's been the victim of just a really bad team. And I think this happens a lot to quarterbacks where he's the victim of a bad team who, if it wasn't for Calvin Benjamin, he would have had no wide receivers last year. Like, you can't tell me you knew any one of those wide receivers going into that season. So I think it's just that he hasn't had good wide receivers to help him grow as a quarterback, and he hasn't had a running game. I mean, their running game has just been all over the place for a long time now, and I think that's why he hasn't shown anything to really warrant this contract.
Well, and don't overlook the awful play of his offensive line too. I know last year, near the end of the year, they were signing guys off the streets that absolutely had no credibility just to patch up the line. I mean, Cam Newton was running around in the backfield just trying to make plays happen. So I agree. He hasn't really had the help that he deserves on the offensive end of the ball. And actually, the other day, I was talking to a couple of Carolina Panthers players. I was able to speak with Charles Johnson for a little bit, and also their defensive line coach, Eric Washington. And all of them were pretty ecstatic about it. Charles just said it was sweet, and he thinks Cam can lead them to a Super Bowl. Eric Washington was pretty much the same way, talking about how he deserved the money, and it's nice to have that stability at the position. And that's pretty much where I stand as well. I mean, it gives them stability at the biggest position in the NFL right now.
You know, Hayes,
Yes, Andy.
you know, I was at the mall the other day, and I noticed that there was a sign in front of the escalator that said, "The escalator is broken." And I thought, an escalator can never be broken. It can only become stairs. And I just pondered that. I'm like, you're telling me that this flight of stairs is broken? That makes no sense.
Would you care
sorry,
to
I just had to say
explain
that.
what that has to do with Cam Newton?
It's well, you were saying how like this whole Cam Newton thing is very pondering, just confusing. And I was just thinking about that time at the shopping mall when the escalator was broken. But really, it was.
And
it was
I'm
just
sure Cam Newton's been on an escalator before.
Yeah.
Greg Olson was on SportsCenter today, and he was talking about how we haven't even seen what Cam Newton is even close to being able to do performance-wise yet. He said that he's 100% positive that this is going to be his best year, and that he's going to take a lot of people by surprise this year, especially with Greg Olson and Kelvin Benjamin in the second year going to be a little bit more comfortable. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree with that because, like I said before, it's just that I don't think he's had the help that he necessarily needs to really play at his full potential. He still played very well for being on a team that's been very poor on offense.
Carolina needs some guys that can just get open, though. That's really the thing for them. Kelvin Benjamin, and they added Devin Funchess as well. They're just huge targets. They're all probably about 6'5" each. And you got Greg Olson at tight end. But other than that, there's no one that can really just beat zones or get open, really, and get yards after the catch, make things easy on Cam Newton. It's really more of a run around in the backfield for a few seconds and lob it up to Kelvin Benjamin or Devin Funchess at this point for the Carolina offense.
They need a guy like Philip
Percy Harvin,
who the Colts took this year. It's kind of a burner that can get open, stretch the field a little bit.
Yep, or just a slot guy, someone that's he can count on, who's reliable. I mean, even Kelvin Benjamin was a near leader in drops last year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure they could trade for Percy Harvin.
Think also,
I know nobody wants him.
You know, Percy Harvin was actually on my most overrated list.
I did see that, and I can agree just because he hasn't really shown anything. But I mean, he's shown like little spurts of what he could actually be. Just one injury, two, his attitude's just terrible. So
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Staying on the topic of NFL contracts, Russell Wilson is currently in negotiations for a new contract. Once his rookie deal is going to be up this year. What are y'all's thoughts on what kind of money Russell Wilson should get, and is he deserving of that kind of money?
Well,
two
right
Super
Well,
now,
Bowl runs, you know,
I think
already.
he's gonna get more than Cam Newton. I think he's got to be really happy about Cam Newton's contract because he's going to get more because he's done more than Cam Newton has. And so I'd be shocked if he didn't get more money. Now, does he deserve it? Mm,
He hadn't done anything
I'm
wrong.
still I'm still not sold on him deserving it or not for the very reason that I
I think you
just
give it
don't.
to him.
Obviously you give it to him, oh no doubt, but I just don't think he's all that great of a quarterback. Like I don't think I wouldn't put him in my top 5, top 10 in the league, even though I know some people probably would.
I'd probably put him in my top 10,
I
not
just
top
don't.
5.
I just think he's been too inconsistent to really like you look like you go and you'll look and he'll have games like I think it was the Rams where he had 2 touchdowns rushing and or something like that, and then two touchdowns passing, like something like that, where he's just awesome and you see how awesome he plays. But then you go back and look at that NFC Championship game against the Packers, and he threw 4 interceptions. I think he's just too up and down of a quarterback who
But
had arguably the best running back in the NFL, and without question, probably the best defense in the NFL.
Here's kind of where I stand on it. I think Russell Wilson, he's definitely going to get 100 plus million. Probably 50 million of that's going to be guaranteed. But I kind of differ from Ben's position where I do think he is deserving of that. He's started every single game he's been in the league. He's maybe arguably the best locker room guy in the league. They do exactly what they need him to do, and he's performed well in an offense where yes, he has Marshawn Lynch, but he also hasn't had any playmakers at wide receiver. But he's still put up 63% completion rating every year he's been in the league, thrown at least 20 touchdowns with 10 interceptions or less in all 3 years in the league. I mean, really with everything that he's been doing, leading that team to 2 straight Super Bowls, I do think he's worth that money.
I think it's the game production. The stats. I mean, yeah, they're important, but he's made it to two Super Bowls and won one of them. You got to pay him the money. He is deserving of it.
I'm right on point with Isaac's analysis of Russell Wilson. I mean, he's gonna get Cam Newton money, if not a little bit more. And I feel
he's going to get more. But
About 110.
And I mean, I feel like he deserves it. I mean, I'll be honest. He obviously has benefited from having a great running game and a great defense. But I mean, I'm right on point with Isaac. I mean, he really hasn't been that inconsistent. I mean, I understand he didn't have a good NFC Championship game, but he's led them on and off the field, especially in the locker room, like Isaac said. I mean, there's no better option right now for the Seahawks anyway. I mean, he's just, in my mind, he's a pretty good quarterback.
Oh, yeah, no.
Well, that's the thing for me.
The Seahawks,
The Seahawks don't really have a choice here, just like Carolina don't have a choice. Quarterbacks are at a premium, especially young ones like Russell Wilson, who, I mean, come on, granted, he's taken them to 2 straight Super Bowls. I mean, what more could you really ask out of a guy? Right now, he's making nothing. I mean, about 1.54 he's due this year. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I think they're gonna end up getting this deal done probably within the next few weeks. I have a feeling.
I agree.
But I think it's going to be more than what you guys are thinking. I think he's going to get Jay Cutler type money. Honestly, I think he's probably going to end up getting one of the highest, if not the highest, contracts in NFL history so far. I'm thinking like 5 years, 125 million, 60 million guaranteed, probably.
Well, they were talking
65
about
million.
They were talking about him too as the first fully guaranteed contract ever as well. That he could possibly be getting that.
No
And
way.
No,
I don't think that. I don't think that. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think he's good enough to get a contract like that. But I still agree. I agree with Hayes. What Hayes said. I think he could very well get Jay Cutler type money.
because when you think about it, he's one of the youngest quarterbacks in the league, one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Seattle cannot let him go. I mean, they can't. They've got the roster that can be a dynasty right now, and that includes Russell Wilson. So along with their perpetual need of him and the fact that he is, I think, in their eyes, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, I think they're going to offer him something like that, Jay Cutler-esque money. Because if guys like Cam Newton and Ryan Tannehill, who have not really proven much yet, can get around $100 million, then I think Russell Wilson can get around $125 million, and even Andrew Luck next year.
Yeah.
Man, I would not be
Andrew
shocked
Luck's contract.
if he gets $140 million.
They're
I'm
throwing
saying that right
everything
now.
at him.
I certainly.
Oh
would-
no, Andrew Luck is. If Russell Wilson gets more than Cam Newton, I'm going to say Andrew Luck gets more than both of them.
Oh, no,
they've already said
easily,
Andrew Luck's contract
probably.
will be the biggest we've ever seen in the NFL.
Oh yeah, no
well
doubt,
deserving.
by far.
no doubt.
Yeah.
I really think it's going to be upwards of $140 million. So that's why I feel like Russell Wilson is in that $125 million range.
My
Do they
whole
have
thing
that
is
money?
just-
I mean,
Yeah, they've had that allotted aside for Russell Wilson in preparation for his rookie deal to end. But my whole thing is just that he's been able to put up consistent touchdown numbers, consistent completion percentage numbers, which is really the biggest thing with below average weapons. And there's no telling.
Are we talking about Luck?
No,
Russell
Are we talking about Luck right now?
Russell
Oh,
Wilson.
okay.
I think he's going to have a bigger statistical year this year just because he's obviously got Jimmy Graham this year. They went out and drafted Tyler Lockett, a really reliable receiver from Kansas State. So I think that's definitely going to help his stats. I don't really think he needs to put up great numbers with Marshawn Lynch in that defense, but it certainly can't help. Or can't hurt. Excuse me.
I really think this year he's going to really establish himself as one of those top-tier quarterbacks in the league. I really do.
Yeah. When I was able to talk to Cliff Averill as well the other day when I was talking to Charles Johnson and those guys, and he pretty much agreed. He kind of chuckled when I asked him the question, but he basically said that that Russell Wilson has done a lot more than any other quarterback in the league in just 3 years. Basically, saying that he believed in him and that he should get all the money he deserves. So that's coming from Cliff Averill right there. I was able to talk to some of those. There were probably about 15 NFL guys the other day. I was able to talk to and see at an internship I've been working for at a local newspaper. So that was a really cool opportunity to talk to some of those guys as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I bought an anthill the other day, and those bastards. Not an anthill. I bought an ant farm the other day, like with the ants in it. Those bastards didn't grow anything.
I think the idea is that they're the farm of ants.
Yeah, I figured it out. Hayes, thanks.
Way to
You're
ruin
welcome,
it, Hayes.
Andy.
On that note, we're going to move on to our next topic. Johnny Manziel, he has recently come out and said that he's not going to be using the patented money sign that everybody knows him for throwing it up after a big player touchdown. Opinions, comments, do you even really care at this point? Is Johnny Manziel relevant to you? Y'all have a
Well, no, I think it's a smart move for him to say that because he's trying to still show that he can be like a quarterback in the NFL, even though most people have already written him off. And he's trying to show the Browns that he's more mature because he's potentially in danger of even losing that starting spot on the Browns. Like if you lose starting quarterback on the Browns, your career is worse than Tebow's.
Hey man,
Does
hey,
he even
Hey,
I
He's
don't-
already lost it. I mean,
Yeah.
he's getting #1 reps in that
They're
that training camp
coming
right
out
now.
of Browns camp. They're saying Josh McCown. It's Josh McCown's spot to lose now.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
and I think it's him just trying to show. It's him now basically just trying to keep a roster spot and trying to show that he has matured, that rehab actually did do him some good, and showing that he's no longer this childish player, this childish guy that he was coming out of college. But
people act like he's been in the
it's
league
a
for
smart
so
move
long.
by
It's
him.
been 1 year. People act like it's over. Like I really don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that either. But I never thought he was going to be successful. But
Yeah, my whole thing with Manziel is if he was going to try to do something to show the Browns front office that he had grown up a little bit, why not do something bigger? I mean, he's not going to do his touchdown celebration now. Every single player in the league does a touchdown celebration. That doesn't mean that they're immature players. I don't know. I don't really care because I don't think Manziel is going to be a successful NFL quarterback. That's just my thing. I don't think he's going to get the chance.
I think it's also though. You say that about every NFL player doing a touchdown celebration. Yeah, that is true. But I don't think it's anything quite like Johnny Money Manziel, because he's not money. He's already proven that he's not going to get money, that he's not going to get the contracts we were just talking about, unless he really just turns his entire career around.
But he'll get
So
paid
I
for
think
those
it's more
autographs.
also
I don't
exactly.
think people are looking too far into this.
It's wouldn't you
this is
be
stupid.
embarrassed to be called like money if you're not that good?
I mean,
No.
but I don't think he's doing the money thing as he's the man anymore. The only reason he was doing it last year, I think, because he kind of realized he wasn't the man anymore once he left college, and he got passed on by 19 teams before he got picked by the Browns. I think the whole thing was that was his persona. That was what he was about. Like his personality, his ego was that big.
Oh yeah. No,
I
this
can
means
agree with
nothing
that.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really care that much because it seems like a really small thing to do to try to prove that he's more mature.
You can read into it and say it's like symbolic of him starting something new, but all in all,
Johnny
this
Manziel
is
we're
so.
talking about. I don't see. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying he's starting something new. I'm just saying he's trying to. That's what I'm saying. He's basically at this point trying not to get cut by the Browns because.
Yeah,
I
agree.
mean,
I agree
Trying to do
there.
everything possible to
Well,
try to stay.
Yeah,
in good
because
shape.
he gets cut, it's over. It's
No.
arena
Oh,
yeah,
football or maybe
No,
Toronto.
I think he
Canadian
would.
football league. Yeah.
I think he would go somewhere else. I think somebody else would honestly pick him up. But maybe this is a little bit irrelevant. Maybe I shouldn't have even brought this up as a topic this week. But whenever we get a chance to talk about Johnny Manziel, I guess it's kind of worth
It's
it.
entertaining.
So we
yeah.
can
It is.
bash him a little bit just for his egotistical
Well,
attitude
that's
and
the other
everything
thing.
that he's gone through.
Johnny Manziel makes for good press.
So
That's true.
we still
That's
saying
the other
Manziel to
thing. Johnny
Toronto.
Manziel makes for good press.
No, it's
Or Montreal.
Montreal. Manziel
Montreal,
to
sorry.
Montreal. Yeah,
Manziel to Montreal.
that didn't
Or
catch
the Arena
on.
Football League. I've loved Johnny. Have you guys ever watched Arena Football? Arena Football is fun to watch, actually.
He would be good there.
Like, oh
Arena
yeah,
football
his
to me
style
is
of
it's
playing
unwatchable.
probably pretty well there.
It's unwatchable. It's not even
Nah,
football. It's so small. There's too much offense. Like it's like 65 to 70 in a game.
Oh, that's the part I love about it.
It's almost
I
like
think it's fun to watch too. Like,
it's almost like it's like too unrealistic almost. It's like they're basically it's like pitch and catch. I don't know. They're just throwing
It's like
it to each other.
Globetrotters.
Kind of. I mean, they're
It's
just
like no, I honestly I agree. It's a strange thing.
But yeah, moving on from Johnny Manziel for a minute, let's go into the NBA draft. Let's just preview maybe the top 5 to 10 picks. Maybe any interesting scenarios you guys want to talk about.
No.
I saw a forklift lift a crate of forks, and it was way too literal for me.
Boo.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ultimately Anthony Towns and Okafor as 1 and 2. Kind of where it gets interesting is number 3 at Philadelphia, where it's kind of been back and forth with D'Angelo Russell, whether he wants to go there or not. That's going to be an interesting situation to play out, and whether it's going to be Russell or Porzingis possibly. And then really 4 and 5 could kind of be up in the air. You have to think Emmanuel Moody might go somewhere in that range.
New York is going to get Kaminsky.
Possibly a Justice Winslow. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I personally think that Okafor should be taken number 1 over Karl Anthony Towns.
Ooh.
But, yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think Okafor is the most complete player in this draft.
Really?
I agree with that.
I agree the
I would
same
agree
way.
with that.
Ooh, I disagree.
I think they're both equally NBA ready.
I don't think Okafor is.
No.
I don't think Okafor is nearly as overall of a skill set as Karl Anthony Towns.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Okafor
lacks too much on
right
the
now is the
defensive
more
side.
well-rounded.
I think he's the more polished player. Is maybe the better way of saying it. He's not much of a defensive player. He's not gonna block. He's not gonna scare. He's not gonna scare anybody in the lane. He's not really gonna stretch you out. I mean, he's pretty much a guy who's gonna score in the paint at this point.
But his ability, my big thing on him is his ability to get in the low post, draw a double team, and then he can dribble out of it and reset pretty much everything because of his ball handling ability. I think that'd be big for a NBA team, especially in now's day and age where you're trying to get mismatches and like slashing players to the basket. I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong with either of the guys. I just personally would rather have Okafor.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Isaac. Okafor, in my mind, is more NBA ready at this point than Karl Anthony Towns, just because he is more. I don't know. Like I think Hayes said it pretty well. He's more polished of a player, and Anthony Towns, his potential is so much higher than anyone else in this draft. It's kind of crazy to think about, but he is so raw at this point. He's really just. Looking back at highlights and games from Kentucky, he was just a man amongst boys. And when it gets to the NBA, when he goes against the Dwight Howards, the Marc Gasols, those type of guys in the league, I really don't see him, especially his rookie season, faring as well as Okafor will. And, Karl Anthony Towns, he's just a freak. He's an absolute freak. But the big thing to me in this draft is really when it comes to the 3 through 5 picks. You could literally swap about 4 or 5 guys around from the 3 to 7. It's up for grabs.
I agree.
Well, I can agree with you there on the Okafor Towns issue, Nick. I don't doubt that Okafor is the more pro-ready prospect at this point. I just feel like you said, his upside is a lot lower, and I don't think he ever becomes that transcending franchise player because I don't think he can ever really do it alone because of some of his deficiencies. I think he's going to need some other complementary guys, especially down low, who can help him on the defensive side. Meanwhile, Karl Anthony Towns can pretty much do anything you want. He's got a nice touch on his jumper. He can bang down low. I think he's a little bit more physical than Okafor. Would you guys agree with that? I think maybe a little thicker, thicker down low.
Stronger.
Yeah.
Well, he weighs less than Okafor by 30 pounds, I think, but he is more physical and stronger. And,
how much does he weigh?
He weighs 240 pounds.
Oh, that's not bad. Wow. I didn't know Okafor weighed that much.
Okafor weighed in at 270.
That is a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Okafor's got a little height on him. A little bit more height, maybe?
I think they both came in at 6'11".
Yeah, they're both the same.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel like Karl Anthony Towns has the more overall game to become that multiple all-star type of talent that you can build your team around.
I agree.
There's a lot of people have been talking about how there's a big drop off between the first and second picks and then the rest of the draft. But I don't really see that with D'Angelo Russell. I think he's somebody who's maybe not getting talked about as much as he should in the conversation with that 1 and 2 pick. I think that D'Angelo Russell could be a superstar in this league, but then again, I could also see him as being a bust. So that's kind of the high risk, high reward with him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, looking at it right now, I don't really see him being a bust, but he is legit. I mean, and with him in this third pick, I mean, he's pretty much perfect for Philly. But with this whole thing about him canceling a workout and pretty much saying he doesn't want to be there, I mean, whoever gets him is it's pretty much a steal if he drops below 3.
Well, I agree with you there. I think, I mean, I would not be surprised at all if he became the best player to come out of this draft. And that's why I think Philadelphia would just be ignorant to pass on him. I don't care if he doesn't want to go to Philadelphia. I think you pick him at 3 anyway. You try to work with him. You try to make him maybe acquiesce to your system, to how you want to play, because you just can't pass up that type of talent. I mean, unless it's something like a John Elway situation where he's going to go to Europe if you pick him. I don't see how you don't pick him. Even if worse comes to worse and you have to trade him down the road, you're going to get something great for him.
Yeah, he's worth a lot.
Yeah, he'll be extremely valuable.
The big thing with him, I think, is he was a freshman on that Ohio State team last year with no other scoring options. So they played against very good defensive teams in the Big Ten, day in, day out, and teams' entire defensive game plans were centered around stopping him, and he still averaged, I think, like 19 points a game.
He did, and looking back at that roster, that was an awful offensive team outside D'Angelo Russell. When your second scoring option is either a Sam Thompson or an Amir Williams, I mean that team really shouldn't have made the 20. I mean it's pretty bad.
That's the key pick in this draft is number 3, because if they end up not taking Russell, then it gets pretty interesting.
Yeah, another guy that I'm high on is Emmanuel Mudiay. He played high school ball in Arlington, Texas, and instead of going a year in college, he went to China and played professional ball in China against the competition there, which really makes him a dark horse. I've seen some of his film from China. I've seen a couple of his workouts that he did for the Kings, I believe. And he's really just a freak athlete. A lot of the guys were saying when he was at the Nike Hoop Summit, his senior year of high school, that he was going to be the number 1 player taken in this draft. Obviously, he's fallen off the map just a little bit because of his time really overseas where he's been dark and nobody's really seen a lot of him. But apparently from the scouting reports from some of these teams, they're really high on him. He projects in a lot of mock drafts to the Kings right now at number 6, possibly at number 5 to the Magic, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see how he pans out as a pro player.
I think you're making a mistake if you take Porzingis over Mudiay.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you're gonna take a guy who's foreign, at least go with the guy who is a little bit more mature with his body type and who's got the overall bigger upside.
I see Andrea Bargnani written all over Porzingis.
Yeah. And there is so much risk with these international players. I mean, I don't see how you can pass up on Emmanuel Mudiay is one of the very few players in this draft where I feel he is no doubt going to be a franchise player at his position. And I mean, especially with I have in my mock draft going 4 to the Knicks. I don't see, especially with like an aging Jose Calderon, how unless D'Angelo Russell's still on the board, I don't see how you can pass up on him and take an international power forward with so much risk, especially after the Andrea Bargnanis of the past.
Yeah.
Well, the Knicks like Andrea Bargnanis, though.
golly, and really with Phil Jackson at GM, he's been known to make a couple bonehead mistakes. So really, you don't know what you're going to get out of that Knicks pick at 4.
Can you imagine? Can you
They've been
imagine?
rumored of trading down.
Well, can you imagine if Moutier fell to Orlando, and Orlando took him? Like their talent level would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, it really would be. That would be a top 5 NBA team in 2 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, because really, you'd have Moutier, and you still, you still got guys like Tobias Harris.
Mo Harkless, who was,
Yep.
I believe, the 8th pick back in 2012.
Yep.
You got Elfrid Payton, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic.
Yep.
Victor Oladipo.
Victor Oladipo. The list goes on.
Yeah, that would be a nuts. How much talent they would have. Now, do you think there's any possibility that Los Angeles would take Moutier at 2?
I don't see how, especially how good Okafor and Towns are. I just don't see how you can pass up on those guys.
Here's how I would see. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I understand the need that Moutier could fill for him, but in my mind, with Okafor and Towns, I feel that their potential is so great, and these are the 2 guys that really could be transcendent big men in the league. I just don't see how you could pass up on them.
Here's where I see the Lakers taking Moutier, and I think this is a legit possibility. I can see the Lakers, with the talks that have been in today, I can see the Lakers taking Moutier at 2 because between the Knicks and the Kings, that's the 2 teams that have been wanting him the most. I can see the Lakers taking him at 2 and then packaging him in a trade for DeMarcus Cousins. So that really the only way I can see them taking him at 2, and I wouldn't really be surprised if they did, just like as an Anthony Wiggins type deal with the Cavaliers last year to get Kevin Love. So I could see him being part of a trade for DeMarcus Cousins. That'd be big.
Well, and if you're Los Angeles and you feel like you can get Kevin Love this offseason, you've already got Julius Randle at the 4. You could technically put Love at the 5, and then that would allow you to start a guy like Moutier at point guard along with Kobe Bryant.
Love's not going there though. He's re-signing with the he's going to re-sign with the Cavaliers.
Yeah. I'll see it I'll believe it when I see it.
I think he will.
Yeah.
I think
I think he will. Originally, I thought it was going to be actually with the Cavaliers before the season started. I thought it was going to be like a Los Angeles Lakers with Dwight Howard and Steve Nash type of deal, where they don't do as well as they're projected to, as well as everybody thinks they will. And then Kevin Love leaves. He jets off somewhere else. That's originally what I thought was going to happen. But now I kind of find it more believable that he will re-sign with the Cavaliers.
What do you think, Andy?
Think about what?
The NBA draft.
Well, we get these football players, and they do their job. They push the other guy to put the line a little bit further down the field so we can score a goal. And I agree with that. I feel like that's something that needs to be done every year. And I digress.
That's Andy Diaz.
Put your boo on.
I can't. I turned it off.
Oh, no. Anyway, we're talking about basketball, Andy.
Oh, well then. Basketball is my alley. So basically, we want these tall guys to put the ball in the basket across the court, which is what they call it. They call it a court. And the problem is...
Is that really what they call it?
Yeah, I think so. Anyway. So yeah.
Cool story.
I don't know nothing about sports.
All right, moving on.
Well, actually, hold on. I want to talk about the
for it.
DeMarcus Cousins trade for a second.
Oh yeah, good call.
Lakers, if you're listening to this podcast, which I hope you are, you should trade your entire franchise for DeMarcus Cousins today.
DeMarcus Cousins does not want to go there.
What?
I don't think he should, at least.
No. Okay. Sacramento or Los Angeles?
Los Angeles is a
Sacramento
trap right
are
now.
better than Los Angeles
Okay,
right now, though.
I don't see how you can say that. Really, anything. I would even say Philly is a step up from Sacramento right now. That is a dying organization.
They
And
literally
Los Angeles is
Early
terrible right
2000s.
now.
Los Angeles could be a playoff team next year.
Hashtag just
If
Sacramento
everything
to
goes their
Seattle.
way,
With
If they
with
sign
no,
one
but with
superstar
Boogie
free
Cousins
agent,
along with
like
those
Toronto,
guys, and even if they get Boogie Cousins, they'll have to trade a lot of role players. That leaves even more cap, just as much as they would have at like what was it, $27 million.
$27 million.
They can bring in nearly two max guys. In like, let's say that if they don't get Moody, like the Rondos, or even go after like a Kevin Love or Marcus Aldridge, those type of caliber free agents, it's going to be a really good team.
Master theory here. The Lakers trade everybody for Cousins. They then sign LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and bring them back together to Los Angeles.
I think it's very likely.
Not a chance.
No way.
I'm still a little bit. I don't know if I'm buying LeBron back to Cleveland. I don't know. It's just weird in my gut. It's just a weird gut feeling.
No.
I'm
wrong.
I'm with you on this, Hayes.
You're both
I'm
wrong.
with you on this, Hayes.
I don't get the 1-year contract.
The whole point of him putting that option in his contract was so that he could assess how they did, and if they didn't do well, he can just be like, nope, forget it, I'm going somewhere else.
It's one of those
disagree.
things where I think
I don't.
And I agree.
I think he needed to see if he could trust Dan Gilbert again. I think he needed
Why
to see.
would you?
That's actually a decent point.
If he could trust Dan Gilbert
he could
again.
handle staying with the front office guys, the David Griffin and Dan Gilbert, to see that could be an option, but not because we did bad this year.
And with this,
I'm leaving.
And
that was never about LeBron.
No, I agree with that. But with this whole David Blatt thing going on right now, the fact that they didn't talk to or even allow LeBron to discuss who he wanted as his head coach, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's just a gut feeling of mine. I've already dealt with it as a Miami Heat fan. I thought he would never leave. I did not think he would leave ever.
But Cleveland is home to him.
I know that. I understand. But just trust me, this guy he's tricky, man.
No, but
he's
okay,
tricky.
no.
There's no other reason to sign a 1-year contract. There's no other reason to sign a 1-year contract if you wouldn't even consider leaving.
No, there is. I mean, he also could have. This is just a theory, obviously, but signing that 1-year deal, he could have got. I mean, he was obviously going to want all the money he could get, but after a year like this, especially being so close to the finals, he could very well be tempted into taking a lesser pay cut
and getting somebody else,
a smaller deal, in order to get another big name target.
That's what I'm thinking.
Where with the 1 year or the shorter deals, he has all the leverage, all the control to determine what his team can do in free agency through his contract.
And a report did come out the other day that said that he was going to be the focal point in the conversations of who to draft and who to bring in for free agency this year. So that could make sense.
Yeah. You know, the Heat took Shabazz Napier because LeBron liked him. That worked out well now, didn't it?
Shabazz Napier actually got pretty upset that LeBron left.
Yeah,
I would be too.
Yeah,
I would. Oh yeah, I'd be upset as well.
Yeah, a lot of interesting storylines.
Yeah, this NBA draft should be pretty interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. But moving on to baseball, we actually finally have something interesting to talk about in the MLB. And unfortunately, Christopher Kaufman isn't here tonight. Pablo Sandoval was benched against the Braves for using his phone during a game. He went to take a bathroom break, and on the way to the bathroom. He picked up his phone, I'm assuming out of his locker, and decided to go on Instagram and like some photos of a woman. And so he ended up, being seen liking photos during a game and got caught red-handed. And since it was a policy of the Red Sox to not use phones during game, he got in a little bit of trouble. Tell me what you think about this story. I'll save my opinion for a little bit later.
Okay.
I can speak on this.
I'm going to go ahead and take the lead here just because I personally think, obviously, no, it's not good to be using your phone and going on Instagram during a game and all that. But looking at it comically, this is hilarious. For Pablo Sandoval, not to be just using his phone, but to go be creeping on women on Instagram, that's during a bathroom break, during a professional baseball game.
There are like 165 games a year, so I think he can sit out one. 62, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally find this hilarious just because, the Red Sox are awful this year. Obviously,
they're
Pablo
terrible.
Sandoval is very bored during games. That he's reduced. They're so bad that he's reduced to going on Instagram during his bathroom breaks during professional baseball games. So I don't know. That's my take on it.
How was that a bad thing? People, even the fans are interested in their sport, and they go to the bathroom and look on their phones.
They're not playing
Chris
the game,
for
though.
the most blood-labeled sports guy ever.
This also isn't their job. In the middle of a game, I just think this whole thing is pretty ridiculous, and I think obviously us talking about it, I think we've overblown the situation a little bit because, as I said, this is actually pretty hilarious. But as bad as the Red Sox is, it kind of shows it might lead into a little bit of why the Red Sox have been so bad this year. Obviously, you're in the middle of a game. This is your career, and you're just messing around on your phone on Instagram. And the game you're actually playing in, I just thought it was really stupid, but I do think it's pretty comical. It's pretty funny.
I think baseball is just so boring that they need to find whatever they can to make it interesting. So they go ahead and find this weirdo stalking women in the toilet. And
It's probably
oh my
team
god,
policy.
it's baseball. It's something.
It's probably
finally
team
happened.
policy that they're not allowed to do it.
Yeah, it's team policy that they're not allowed to I don't know, touch themselves while they're on third base. I don't know.
Probably team policy.
I don't know policy, but people do it anyway. People break policies all the time. But
And Pablo Sandoval's doing this.
because it's baseball.
More often. That guys are going on bathroom breaks during games and going on Instagram, checking social media. You got to know that happens way more often.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, this is definitely not the first time.
They're playing cards in the dugout. Wasn't it one time they were drinking during a game as well in the clubhouse or something like that?
Josh, that was especially
That was the Red Sox.
Josh
That was the
Beckett.
Red Sox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh
They
Beckett snuck back into the home locker room and was eating KFC and down some beers during the game.
Hey, he wasn't pitching that day.
Exactly. It's kind of a different scenario, especially when there was absolutely zero chance Josh Beckett was going into the game.
Yeah.
But still.
I agree
Okay,
with
but think about where Pablo Sandoval was a year ago. He was in the middle of a playoff hunt with the Giants, and eventually would go on to catch the third out of a World Series. His, I think, second in 3 years, or second in 4 years. And to where he goes to Fenway in Boston this year and is reduced to going on Instagram in the bathroom and creeping on women. That's quite the turnaround.
It's pretty hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. This whole story it's pretty silly that we're talking about it, but that's what it is. It's just flat out silly.
Yeah.
I wonder who he was looking at.
Yeah.
Was he on Tinder or Facebook?
No, it was
It'd be
Instagram.
funny if he was on Tinder.
He was on Instagram
Instantly.
liking some photos of a, I think, scantily dressed woman.
And they must have been
Scantly?
creeping on him.
Is that a word? Scantly?
I don't even.
Scantily.
Scantly.
Scantly? I gotta look that up.
Scantily.
Do they have
Scantily.
cameras in their bathroom or something?
No, I think the way that I found out is that the woman put it on Twitter, she screenshotted it or something like that, and put on Twitter
and a Giants official saw it.
Yep.
Maybe because the Giants official follows her on Twitter. I don't know, but
I think
yeah, I think that's
actually,
what I think. Now.
or either that or the Giants, the publicist or reporter who was following the Giants just happened to see him tweet it or like it during the game. So he was like, "Why is Pablo
I mean,
Sandoval?"
there are a number of ways people could have found out. I mean,
Yeah,
social media these days, anybody can find out anything.
My question,
yeah, no doubt.
I liked Andy's question. What was he doing in the bathroom?
I don't like that question.
I do. I think it's gross and fat.
Yeah, why is that a good question? Why do you like that question?
I just thought that was an interesting question. People saying that they were just talking about how people are on phones in the bathroom and how that freaks them out. I don't see why that's an issue.
I don't see why this is even a discussion.
Well,
All right. On that note, I guess we'll be moving on to the U.S. Open.
that's a
Good.
discussion.
It was the U.S. Open was at Chambers Bay in Washington. It's about 45 minutes south of Seattle.
On
It
Puget
was
Sound.
on Puget Sound. Yeah, it was highly criticized because of the Poana greens that they were using. Some players called them patchy. Some players called them too bumpy. A lot
Horrible.
of fans thought that the players were just complaining and that they're soft. But anyways, Justin Spieth ended up winning
Jordan.
off a birdie on the last hole where Dustin Johnson had a chance for eagle, but ended up three putting for par, thus losing the championship by one. This was Jordan Spieth's second major of the year, second in a row, which keeps him alive for the Grand Slam this year. So really, everybody can just give their takes on this.
I'll go ahead and start out. So this Jordan Spieth is the youngest player to win two majors since Gene Sarazen, all the way back in the 20s, which is just amazing. He's not even 22 years old yet. He's playing like he's the best player in the world right now. But that's not even the discussion here. The discussion here is the choke job of Dustin Johnson. Really, man, he must not have eaten his vegetables as a child because the broccoli, the no, his vegetables because the broccoli filled greens at Chambers Bay haunted him. Like he missed so many putts on the back nine. He missed so many putts on the back nine. It was ridiculous. Holes 10 through 15, he was missing 6 5-footers like it was his job. And eventually that crept up to him on the last hole when he only had a 12-foot putt to win the championship. And in a matter of 60 seconds, ended up having a 4-footer left and missing that one as well. Man, it really does. It's funny to say this, but it really does ring true. The old mantra that you drive for show and putt for dough. I mean, he hit it. He absolutely smashed a drive on the 18th hole. It's 600-yard par five. He had 250 in and hit a 5-iron to 12 feet and 3 putts. It's quite amazing. The whole championship was just a story in itself, and it was really sad that it had to end in this manner because it was such a great Sunday finish. I mean, there were like 4 guys who in the last 20 minutes still had a shot to win the tournament, especially after Jordan Spieth doubled number 17. I don't know what else to say about this. What do you guys overall thoughts?
Yeah, I was able to watch a lot of this tournament. A lot of players were complaining about the Poana greens, how they were a little bit too bumpy and everything. But when you really look at it, the players who were complaining the most about it weren't the players who were playing well, obviously. The players who are some of the best on the tour right now didn't have anything bad to say about the greens, even though they might not have thought they were in the best shape ever. But, yeah, really when you look at it, the winning score was 5 under. That's on par, if not lower, than most of the other U.S. Open scores in recent history.
the best players in the world with taking Brandon Grace out of it, although he played great this week, were in the hunt on the last day. I think the best players in the world right now were all in the hunt. You look at it, Spieth, Dustin Johnson's playing some of the best golf of his career. McIlroy made a run late at it. There were just a lot of
Jason Day, Louis Oosthuizen.
If he hadn't had vertigo, there's no telling what he could have done. He kind of ran out of steam there on that last day. But really, it kind of goes to show how great of a player Jordan Spieth is at this young of an age. It was a total choke job on Dustin Johnson's part, but at the same time, just as a person, you kind of feel for him because this is the third major title he's kind of, I guess you could say, use the word choked away with 2010 and Whistling Straits of the PGA championship being the one that most people remember, where he grounded his club in a bunker where he thought it was a waste area and was assessed a 2-stroke penalty and missed out on the playoff. So, yeah, just the whole thing. And even a lot of the players, going back to the condition of the greens, even a lot of the players who did play poorly didn't have bad things to say about the greens. Tiger had nothing negative to say about the greens. Something I did kind of interesting was Chris Kirk really kind of lashed out at the USGA about how he lost respect for him and was really upset at the layout of this.
Yeah,
when you saw number one, he was upset at his putt and I guess how it rolled, and he slammed his putter into the green. So I don't know. I just thought that was completely classless on his part. So yeah, that was just, I guess, my complete feelings.
Yeah, that was Billy Horschel who said that.
Billy Horschel.
Yeah,
right.
He's a Florida Gator, so
that explains that.
Hey,
got him. But no, course conditions wise, I think it was a little bit of a joke that they had to play on those kinds of greens in our national championship of golf here in the United States. It's embarrassing, really. I think the USG dropped the ball on this championship in general. But at the same time, I think pros finally got a little bit of a feeling for how most of us amateurs have to play. You know, conditions aren't always perfect, so sometimes you have to take that into account, and your score suffers as a result. These guys are used to playing in the best conditions, perfect, pristine greens, and that's why they putt so well, and that's why the scores are so low most of the time. So they got a little bit of a feeling of how at least we normal people feel about playing golf. It was a weird course in general. I think it was entertaining to watch, but you just almost felt bad at times. Like it almost just disgusted you, like how many slopes were on the greens where they were almost like bowls where you could run it off this way and it'll funnel down 60 feet over there, or half the time the greens were on a higher tier, and if you didn't get it all the way up on the green near the pin, it would roll 100 yards down back toward you. You could hit it in the middle of the fairway on your drive, and it'll end up in the fescue or a bunker. The course layout was just strange. It's a young course. I know it's only 6 years old, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be another venue for the U.S. Open again. I think it's done. I think it got way too much flack this time, and it was really a shame because it was such a good tournament competitive-wise, because there were so many guys in the hunt at the end. But in the end, it's ironic that Dustin Johnson missed that 4-footer because of you almost might have to say because of the conditions.
You know, as a surveyor of nice lawns, I have to say I really was not impressed, because I did actually watch a little bit of the U.S. Open, and I really was not impressed with what I saw with the course. You know, I'm always expecting like a really nice course for that kind of thing, but I was not impressed with this one at all. It was terrible.
Nice insight there,
Wow.
Andy Mihis.
Not expecting that opinion, Andy. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Yes, Jordan Spieth he's really fun to watch though. I think you can read my article about him that I wrote after he won the Masters, and it still is the same opinion that I feel today, that he's going to end up being one of the top 3 best golfers of all time. And he hasn't proven me wrong yet, and I don't think he will soon. He's currently number 2 in the world behind Rory McIlroy, but if he keeps this up, I think that will soon change. On the Grand Slam note, though, that's not happening. Don't get your hopes up.
No, I agree.
There's a reason it hasn't happened since Bobby Jones. Granted, Tiger won 4 in a row, not all in the same year, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, guys, it's not going to happen. It's way too difficult. It's way too difficult.
If anybody can do it, it's him.
Have some faith.
And with the competition that there is today, with all the young golfers out there,
So many good young golfers.
it's
Like his.
yeah. Well, thank you. I'm not
Exactly.
that good, but
Yet.
Yeah, we'll learn tomorrow.
all right. But yeah, I think the golf's reputation might have took a hit a little bit with this tournament, though, just because of the USGA's actions. It was entertaining, though, and that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, I think among the more serious fans who really regularly watch golf tournaments every single weekend, they were kind of appalled at it. But I think to the person that may not watch golf every single time, may just watch the majors, seeing a course like this, it was kind of, I guess, hokey is the best word that you could use to describe it, with all the slopes that you were talking about. Maybe they found that entertaining. I mean, that was obviously not the USGA's approach to this. But I don't know. I feel like to somebody that doesn't watch that much golf, they could find that entertaining, as to where the more experienced golf fan would kind of see past it. But I do think that this golf year in general has been really big for the PGA, especially with Tiger kind of taking a back seat to everybody. That the PGA Tour can be just as exciting, can be thriving without Tiger Woods, and with kind of Justin Spieth taking the reins here, but then a lot of young players right behind him, competing with him, along with a couple of older guys.
Well, and speaking of Tiger Woods, let's look at his downfall here for a minute. That continues every tournament he plays in. He ended
Until he accepts the fact that he can't destroy the ball like he used to be able to and start playing like an older guy, he won't do anything.
Yeah, I love watching his top 10 epic fails of this week, because he's just so bad now. Every time I flip on the Open, it was always some montage of him sucking horribly. He made me laugh, because when I was little, he used to be legit. But
Andy, you think you could take him nowadays?
Oh, I could take him. I just parred number 8 on Harbor Club. I could take him all day, every day.
Can you explain Harbor Club for those who don't know?
Oh yeah.
What it is?
Well, I'm currently living right now on a very prestigious golf course because I am a millionaire astronaut, and so every now and then I go and play golf, practice to beat Hayes, which I will tomorrow. I'll beat Hayes tomorrow. And anyway, yeah, it's a big course. It's a lot nicer than the U.S. Open course was. It's a lot easier and more forgiving. And honestly, I wish the Open was just played there. Bring some money to this town, and I mean, we definitely pay back in full with a very nice course and lodging. And
All right,
somebody say something, because I'm running out of things to say.
Yeah, Tiger Woods shot 16 over for the first 2 rounds at the U.S. Open, missed the cut by too many shots to really count. Again, I wrote an article about Tiger a few weeks ago after his Memorial disaster, in which he shot 85. The same thing holds true today. He's not going to be what he once was. He never will be. At this point, I'm really questioning whether he's going to win another tournament.
ever.
No way. He's done.
Wow.
He's old news.
No, I think that if he buys into the fact that he's not the young golfer that he was, I think he could still be good just because he's just that gifted.
No, he needs to
No.
retire. He's got so much money. He's just wasting it on losing.
I saw a stat this week where it said through Tiger's first 1,100 plus rounds, he had one round of 80 or above. And through the last 15 rounds, he's had 3 rounds of 80 or above. That really spoke to the kind of golf he's playing lately. And it really, before this week, he had said that he's really confident in his swing, and he's really looking forward to the U.S. Open because he thought he could make some noise. But then he goes out and puts on, I guess, the show that he did. It really kind of shows how little control he has over his swing right now, and how he's not really in sync with his own game.
Well, he's just totally lost it from a physical, technical, mental aspect. Every aspect of the game, he's in shambles right now. Mentally, he's just shot. He has no confidence. He has no confidence in himself. At least not even close to what he used to have when he was on top of the game.
He has such a negative appearance now. Everybody, when they look at him, they're going to think of what he did back in the day, and everybody's going to be like, this guy sucks. And he's taking that pressure and putting it into his game, and there's the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I don't know if it's more so the negative attention to him. I think...
No, it's definitely the negative attention. He was great before that, and then all of a sudden he had to put his ding-a-ling in some other wing, and there we go.
Okay, Andy, this is supposed to be professional, and you've slipped many times.
Well, I'm also not here all the time, so I might as well.
He's a newbie, so we can forgive him. Maybe.
We'll edit it.
Maybe.
Okay.
The people want the truth, and that is the truth. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
There are several other ways to
How
put
do you
it.
know? How do you
They're
know what the people want?
they're
You're never
probably-
here.
I podcast on my other channel,
And what channel is that?
Youngspeak Sports. And we just,
Is that you and your grandfather?
no. It's my mom.
Oh my goodness gracious!
You know what really drives me insane? I've been drinking. I bought a case of Mr. Pibbs, and you know why they're not as good? Because they didn't go and finish their degree like Dr. Pepper. I figured it out.
Clever.
Wow, that
Yeah.
actually logically that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and that's why
No,
I
it doesn't.
You're messing with my mind right now.
No,
Back
stop.
to Tiger Woods. Isaac, what do you think?
I don't know. Tiger's not the player that he once was. His game doesn't look good in any facet. He's kind of the antithesis to Jordan Spieth, where Jordan's got pretty much every facet of his game down, to where Tiger has no facet of his game down right now. And add the
Man,
mental
you just
aspect.
love Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Everybody
big
does.
on Jordan Spieth. I think I've made that decently obvious. But no, and I don't think Jordan Spieth is necessarily the best on the PGA. It's in one of the facets of his game, but I think he's near the top and very good at all of them. But
And Roy's best?
no, I think on tour right now, Jordan Spieth is the best player currently.
I thought you said he
golf-
wasn't.
No. In each one of his facets in his game, he might not be the best player.
Oh,
But
not in each one. Okay.
But overall, put all
Yes.
of this together, that comes together. Golf is a hard sport to say who's number one because it's really on a, I guess you could kind of judge it on a month-by-month basis because golf is so streaky.
Yes, it's very finicky. Players get
Yeah.
streaky. It's the only sport in the world, really, that at least comes to my mind where the best player does not win more than 20% of the time.
without a doubt.
And so it's really almost the rankings should be boiled down to who's the best this month. Because that's really what it boils down to. But I think Rory McIlroy is the best player in the world when he's putting well. that's the big thing for him. He gets on those streaks of where he just makes everything, and that's when he gets unstoppable, because his ability to strike the ball and his driving ability
It's incredible.
is one of the best in the world. So when he's got his putter going like he did when he won those 2 majors back last year, he is the best player in the world. But when he doesn't have his putter going like he did not have it going this week, Jordan Spieth is the best player in the world.
Nick, do you have any comment on this? You've been pretty quiet through this whole discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much what Isaac said. Exactly how I feel. I mean, I feel
Surprise.
like Jordan Spieth. I feel like Jordan Spieth is the best overall player. Obviously, he doesn't wow you with literally any like part of his game, but he is so consistent and he is so good at everything he does. I mean, I love Jordan Spieth. I just do.
He's easy
Seems
to
like a
root
good
for.
guy, so.
Yeah, he's easy to root for. Definitely
Yeah.
easy to root for. But moving on from golf for a minute, we're going to finish up here with a quick little topic on Herschel Walker.
This is ridiculous.
He came out and said that he still thinks he can play in the NFL and that he could still help a team. And just put this in perspective here. He hasn't played in the NFL since 1997, and that's pretty much before we were all born. Or at least when we were born. I mean,
Ridiculous.
He came out and said recently that he ran a 4.540 last year.
Yeah.
I thought I heard it was lower than that.
It might be a 4.3.
I heard it was a 4.3 to 4.4.
Yeah.
He said that if he trained, though, he said he hadn't trained very much going into that. He said if he trained, he could get it lower than that.
That's awful. That's a lie.
That is. Who's
No
timing
way.
him?
Himself.
I mean, there's
On his fingers.
I mean, there's no doubt that Herschel Walker is physically. I mean, at his age, it's pretty incredible how in shape he truly is. But, I mean, he can talk all he wants to about how he thinks he can still play in the NFL and how good a shape he's in. When he truly gets out there as a 50-year-old and starts hitting, I give him, let's say, like maybe 2 quarters.
To his credit, though, have y'all seen him fight in the MMA?
No.
I've actually seen some of that, yeah.
He, and I know it's a lot different, obviously, than the NFL. He absolutely has his way with 26, 27-year-olds. I mean, that's just kind of a side note, just a fun thing to speculate about.
How old is he? How old is he actually, though?
He's 53. I think that he could play running back in the NFL as old as 40. But just because how much of a freak athlete he was, he wouldn't be a starter or anything. He'd be a third-string running back. But I think his career could have lasted until he was 40. 53 years old, that's well beyond middle age. His body, yeah, I think he can talk all he wants to.
I think he's just going through.
His body would break down.
I think he's going through a little bit of a midlife crisis, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah, he's maybe a little overzealous. I think there's no doubt Herschel Walker is just a ridiculous athlete.
Do any of you guys think a team will actually consider him?
No.
Have interest?
No.
The Browns.
No.
Or the Raiders, maybe?
Yeah, maybe the Raiders.
No, I don't think he's
Herschel
doing it.
Walker.
In other words, nobody will hear from him again.
I really hope a team just has a PR
Gonna be the
stunt
new
and
Brett
invites him
Favre.
to come to training camp.
Well, the Jags need a running back, don't they?
They got
They got
No.
T.J. Yeldon.
That's right.
I
forget
could
about
see.
him.
I mean, he might as well go to Indianapolis. I mean, Frank Gore is about as old as him. He's still playing.
Yeah, no.
Hey, I'd take him. The Colts running game. I'd take him.
with the mod branch.
We're gonna have to.
Oh, go ahead.
We had Favre watch. Now we're gonna have to start Walker watch.
Yeah, he was a freak athlete at his time, but
Remember when Tiki Barber almost came back to the NFL?
Oh yeah.
But nobody wanted him.
That was during the lockout.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's when he said. That's when he said, "Oh, I've seen Rondé playing and having a lot of fun," and he's like, I regret ever retiring. I'm gonna try and make a comeback, basically, and nobody wanted him.
They said there was like a 10% chance any team would take him.
It also came out like a few months later that he was actually getting ready to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a horrible reporter.
Teams will not.
He was terrible.
Teams are reluctant about playing a running back when he's 28 or 29 years old. Herschel Walker's just
once you 30, usually.
Why who even raised the question? Was it Nick who asked, would someone actually sign him?
I just want to know. I just want to know if anyone would have. I'm not talking like actually like working. I'm just saying have any interest whatsoever.
Just having him on a team to attract people.
Yeah, I was about to say I could see it as a team doing it for like, and this is so far fetched that I can't even believe I'm saying it.
I'm talking like preseason, like just preseason.
Yeah.
Well, it's like LeBron playing in a Browns game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like letting him play in one preseason game. Imagine that crowd.
Dan Gilbert would freak out.
Yeah, he'd probably die.
You know, the Cavs, fortune, he'd probably tear his ACL and never be the same player again.
No,
Cleveland curse.
I think LeBron's
ACLs
are too
not even
strong.
that.
The Cleveland curse lives on.
He'd get injured. He'd get a career-ending injury, never be able to play basketball again, and end his career with 2 rings.
That is pretty horrible to say.
No, he can't get hurt. Like, he doesn't know how.
He gets taken down by cramps.
Except cramps. He knows how to get those.
No.
Yeah, so we all agree Herschel Walker is maybe just a little bit loony right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Midlife crisis, that's what I'm chalking it up to. I think
Herschel Walker's an idiot and we're done.
I had a bag of Fritos, and they were Texas grilled Fritos. And these Fritos, they had grill marks on them. and I think, who's throwing a bag of Fritos on a grill? And cooking them.
Okay.
Andy.
On that
note, we are. I think we're gonna wrap that up. Yeah, Andy, that was kind of interesting. Do you have any other closing remarks that are maybe a little bit less silly?
I was flossing the other day, and sometimes I just wish our teeth were just one curvy tooth. I don't have to put the separations. That was just me, but it's up to you.
I've never even thought of that.
I don't know. I've never thought of just one big tooth just curving all the way around. It'd be freaky, but it'd be easier to clean.
I think maybe we should leave Andy to just the off-topic discussions from now on. I think that's it.
I like
We
his
didn't even have an
random
off-topic discussion.
I think that's it for us here at Youngspeak Sports. We talked about NFL contracts, Johnny Manziel and his irrelevancy, the NBA draft and its intricacies, Pablo Sandoval's ridiculous potty malfunction, the U.S. Open and Jordan Spieth's rise, as well as Herschel Walker's midlife crisis. See you later, folks.